Howdy, y'all. This is Proverbs 23 in the HCSB for July 23, 2023. When you sit down and dine with a ruler, consider carefully what is before you and put a knife to your throat if you have a big appetite. Don't desire his choice food, for that food is deceptive. Don't wear yourself out to get rich, and stop giving attention to it. As soon as your eyes fly to it, it disappears. For it makes wings for itself and flies like an eagle to the sky. Don't eat a stingy person's bread, and don't desire his choice food, for it's like someone calculating inwardly. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. You will vomit the little you've eaten and waste your pleasant words. Don't speak to a fool, for he will despise the insight of your words. Don't move an ancient boundary marker, and don't encroach on the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is strong, and he will take up their case against you. Apply yourself to discipline, and listen to words of knowledge. Don't withhold discipline from a youth. If you beat him with a rod, he will not die. Strike him with a rod, and you will rescue his life from Sheol. My son, if your heart is wise, my heart will indeed rejoice. My innermost being will cheer when your lips say what is right. Don't let your heart envy sinners. Instead, always fear the Lord, for then you will have a future, and your hope will never fade. Listen, my son, and be wise. Keep your mind on the right course. Don't associate with those who drink too much wine, or those who gorge themselves on meat. For the drunkard and the glutton will become poor, and grogginess will clothe them in rags. Listen to your father who gave you life, and don't despise your mother when she is old. Buy, and do not sell, truth, wisdom, instruction, and understanding. The father of a righteous son will rejoice greatly, and one who fathers a wise son will delight in him. Let your father and mother have joy, and let her who gave birth to you rejoice. My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes observe my ways, for a prostitute is a deep pit, and a stranger is a narrow well. Indeed, she sets an ambush like a robber and increases those among men who are unfaithful. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has conflicts? Who has complaints? Who has wounds for no reason? Who has red eyes? Those who linger long over wine, those who go looking for mixed wine. Don't gaze at wine because it is red, when it gleams in the cup and it goes down smoothly. In the end, it bites like a snake and stings like a viper. Your eyes will see strange things, and you will say absurd things. You will be like someone sleeping out at sea or lying down on the top of a ship's mast. They struck me, but I feel no pain. They beat me, but I didn't know it. When will I wake up? I'll look for another drink. I don't know if it's happenstance or I think it came out today. It was a study by Mike Winger on alcohol, just straight what the scripture said. And of course, this came up, this passage. That was a good read. I still think he did kind of the opposite of what he set out to do, which was to not take a hard line and to just go with what the scripture said. But there were several times where he kind of showed his cards, and it was very clear that, as a person who does not drink, his line is very conservative, and that's okay. But for someone that doesn't drink at all to, how can I put it, to move the line so close to what is drunkenness, it's like, man, I get it. We shouldn't be toying with the edge, but at the same time, to say if you wake up with a hangover that you've sinned, different drinks affect people different ways. You can have a small amount and still be paying for it with a bad headache in the morning. I don't know that that's a good ruler for sin. Okay, whatever. I think it was a good listen, and I would recommend everybody go and listen to that talk. I'll try to link it down below. Anyway, at the top here, we've got practicing self-restraint, both when we're in front of somebody so we don't embarrass ourselves, and then also just the attention that we give to getting rich and getting money. It's hard for us, especially with the current economy, because our buying power is becoming so much less. So it's easy to be preoccupied trying to spend money and or earn money and having money to spend. I never quite understand the stingy person stuff. Eat and drink. I understand that don't eat like it's with the stingy person. I understand that they're secretly thinking like, oh no, it's that time of night. I'm secretly thinking like, oh, this person owes me this much, or they eat and drink this much food and this much wine. Am I hearing things? But I don't understand how it says you'll vomit the little you've eaten and waste your pleasant words. Unless it's just like there's so much hassle that it's going to come with it that it's better to just stay away from that person, not to consume any of their resources. Yeah, don't speak to a fool. He'll despise your insight or the insight of your words. That sounds about right. What is this footnote? Don't speak in the ears of a fool. Reads, where is this? That's interesting too. For it is like someone calculating inwardly. It says, the footnote is, for it is like reads, it said reads, is like someone swallowing a hair in the throat. Ugh. So it'll aggravate you. It'll make you sick. And just dealing with this person is going to leave a bad taste and a bad reaction in your throat. I get that. Yeah, don't withhold discipline from youth. I got 3 crazy kiddos out there. Kids do not discipline themselves by nature. They need to be shown what the rod is. They need to be shown what the standard is. They need to be held to that standard. Because if we don't control our kids, they're going to end up in jail or in the grave. Sheol. Now I feel this. If your heart is, my son, if your heart is wise, my heart will indeed rejoice. My innermost being will cheer when your lips say what is right. Man, it warms my heart to hear my kids say what is right. It's hard to not envy sinners, man. Sinners kind of run this world, right? So, I mean, look at the entertainment industry. And somebody drew a good parallel. Satan wasn't just, he was like the bright one, right? Like the morning star. But he was the worship leader. He was the person that sang to and in front of God and had all that attention. All the attention went inward. He decided he deserved it. Just interesting. It's just an interesting parallel. Yeah, don't associate with those who drink too much wine or are gluttons and gorge themselves, because they're going to become poor and become clothed in rags. Because if that's all you can think about, and I don't want to harp on people, but what comes to mind is like the My 600 Pound Life kind of shows, where it's like eventually that is your life. That's your whole life. You just kind of despair living that life and continuing on, whether it be substance abuse or sugar abuse or fat abuse, right? Listen to your father who gave you life. Don't despise your mother when she's old. Duh. But I can't believe people have to be told that, right? Buy and do not sell truth, wisdom, instruction, and understanding. So at all costs, we're supposed to be getting truth, wisdom, instruction, and understanding, and then holding on to them for dear life. Yeah, this whole passage, it's like, what does this sound like to you? Woe, sorrow, conflicts, complaints, wounds for no reason, red eyes. And those who linger long over wine and go looking for the mixed wine. And I don't think it's wrong to appreciate wine and be a connoisseur, right? When it says, like, don't look at the wine when it's red and it gleams, but it's more like a desiring thing, right? It's like, it's almost like being infatuated, in love with it, right? You'll be like someone sleeping out at sea. You're lying down on the top of a ship's mast. So is that staggering and swaying? Or is that like when you've had too much to drink and you got to hang on to the floor to stop it from spinning you off of it? It's not a good look either way. And if that's your first thought in the morning, like, hey, where did these wounds come from? They beat me up. I didn't even feel it. Let's go get a drink. That's not a good thing. One thing that Mike did highlight is that later in Proverbs, there's the Proverbs speaking to Lemuel, and he talks about giving strong drink to the poor and to the dying. So there are cases where it's permissible. It's all in the application and in the context. Right now, I don't want to be drunk. Oh, but I do want something because cannot fix this back or this leg problem. I'll start to really despair about it, and just been in a lot of pain for days and days. And today, got to use the little punchy gun thing, and that helped. But I mean, it just keeps coming back immediately. So pray for your boy. All right, with that, I need to get some sleep. I was supposed to be driving across country tonight, but decided to take one more night and try to recover because I can't sit for 12 hours like this right now either. But all right, with that, go with God. Be blessed.